I'll clip off the beginning anyway. Hi, so good morning. My name is Dr. Zilke. I'm a physical therapist at Midwest Pain and Spine. From here on out, just refer to me as Steve. It's just easier for everyone, and I'm fine with that. So, first of all, thanks for being here this morning. I do appreciate you coming on out. It's been my first lecture for a while. COVID put a kibosh on a lot of things, and I'm actually glad to get out and do some teaching again. So, before we get started, just if you give me a raise of, thank you, a show of hands, who actually has dealt with a fall issue in the recent future? Okay. In the past future, we already talked earlier. Okay. So obviously you have some concerns about it in the meantime, so we'll cover that now, otherwise you wouldn't be here. Studies are showing that the numbers are still increasing a little bit. I just read a new report that from 2016 to 19, falls in your age group have gone up 1.5% per year. I mean, it's not a huge number, but it's also not going in the right direction, in spite of everything that we've been doing. I've been a physical therapist for 30 years, and every single year, there's this new CMS intervention, we got to stop falling, and then obviously it's not working. So I have my own take on it, and I've been doing this for a while, and I just want to try to relate to you all a little bit. I'm at the level of career where I'm sure some of you guys have been, where you can pretty easily see through a lot of nonsense. And even the stuff that you used to do when you were young in your career, whether you're an accountant, a lawyer, whatever you were, like you say, I used to do that too, but kind of a waste of time. I stopped doing that 10 years ago because I just didn't find it worked. I'm at that level in my physical therapy career where a lot of things that I see, my BS meter instantly turns on all the way. And even the things I say, yeah, I used to do that too, but like I said, I stopped doing that 10 years ago because I just didn't see it working. And then you build knowledge upon knowledge over doing things for years, and it just changes your perspective. So I'm on I don't want to say mission, but I'm on a plan to change the conversation on falls and what people are doing. Because as I've gone through courses, I just have a different perspective on it. So I'm going to have two overriding premises to go over today. And number one is doing something is better than nothing. So we all need to be doing something exercise-wise every single day. We're all on the same trajectory. We all are. None of us are going to not end at the same place. We all have different paths for that, which is we are all, myself included, getting weaker every single day unless we do something to change it. It just doesn't matter. We can huff and puff, we can deny it, we can ignore it. Doesn't matter. We're all on the same trajectory. You guys have a couple years ahead of me on that trajectory, but I'm not the same guy I was at 25 either. I'm 55, so I'm still feeling that I can't do what I did when I was 45 or 35 or 25. And you guys have the same things too. So I'm feeling the same thing. I'm just a few steps behind you. So that being said, all science shows that doing something is better than nothing. And I agree with that completely. But this is the point I want to make. As I've learned things here, what you do has a big factor on the outcome or the results. And I've learned that when it comes to falling, skill is better than strength. And that's going to be the most important point I'm trying to get across today. Practicing your skill of walking is more important than your strength. Now, I don't want you to negate strength. I'm not saying don't worry about that at all. Don't try to build your muscles because you need to. We all need to. But the point is, behind the title, is walk better in 30 days. And so if I gave you two tasks right now, if I asked you an ideal state, which would you be more likely to do in 30 days? Lift 250 pounds overhead or learn to juggle? If you practiced every single day, you probably could do some form of juggling in 30 days. Right? It may not be good for Vegas, but you probably could. There's no way you'll get to that 250 pounds in 30 days. And I threw that as an extreme example, but it's true. So we can learn to do something better, quicker, by improving our skill than we can our strength. And as I want you to filter that as we think about things in your own life, because each and every one of you, so the first three ladies were here earlier, we had a conversation. So we talked about where each lady was in different stages of balance. And then the rest of you, the five, will be in different stages as well. But as you're on your own journey, filter this concept of how the skill balances with strength. Now, this is where I want to tie it in and explain to you why I feel that way. And I'm going to demonstrate it and prove it to you. And then before we're done, I'm going to show you some exercises that may be on some of your best interest. Some of you may be beyond it. And everyone's on their own little different journey. So has anyone here actually had some kind of balance test in the recent past? Okay. Okay. There's actually quite a few balance tests, and some are pretty easy. I'm going to actually teach you one that you can do at home today, every once in a while you want. So it's going to start with a chair. I might as well just get going here. And what I'd like to do, if anyone wants to do a quick screen while we're here, I'm more than happy to do it. All right. So the easiest one I like, and it's got a lot of value, and I'll explain it all to you as we go through it, is called TUG test. It stands for timed up and go. And it's simply this. I'll demonstrate. So we have a chair anywhere. It's better if the chair has arms according to the specifics of the test, but we'll do fine. And then we have essentially a 10-foot runway. So I usually mark it off by my steps. I know 3, 6, 9. Oh, right at the edge of the table, 10. Perfect. Doesn't have to be perfect. 9 feet 11 inches is just fine. But that's all we need. And then there's a test. And it's simply this. We start in a chair. And then we count down 3, 2, 1, have a stopwatch. If I test you in a moment, I'll have the stopwatch on my phone on. And then when I say 1, stand up. They like the armrest because it's standardized. Okay, 3, 2, 1. And then start walking 10 feet. Get to the edge of the table, turn around, walk back, get to the chair, turn around, and then have a seat. What we've established is if you are 20 seconds or better, you're at no fall risk whatsoever. Well, everyone's a fall risk, right? I mean, but you know what I mean. For medical purposes, you're safe to walk on your own. Hit a patch of ice and everyone's got problems. But for medical purposes, you are safe to walk on your own. 20 seconds and slower, that's when we start to have concerns. Like maybe we need a cane or a walker, or maybe we need some interventions. And then that 20 seconds, like 19 to 21, there's always a gray area, right? There's always, yeah, but the 19 to 21 is that. So that's an easy test that we all can do at home. It's one of my favorites. Is there anyone that actually wants to do that now? Just do a 20-second test, 10-second test. Oh, come on, give me a volunteer, please. You make me look bad on camera. Thank you. Thank you, Joyce. First to show up and now my favorite.
Just sit down.
Yes, please. I mean, just watching her walk, I'm not too worried here. So I'm going to explain the instructions again. All right, Joyce, I'm going to count down 3, 2, 1. When I say 1, just get up, walk just about to the edge of the table here, and then turn around and walk back. I'm going to time you on this, and we'll talk when we're done. All right? So 3, 2, 1. All right, yeah, she crushed it. 9.53 seconds. That's going to be what we consider normal plus for your age group, Joyce. I consider 12 seconds or under to be really, really good. mean, you had the good pace. You popped up out of the chair pretty quickly. You turned around pretty quickly. You started going again. And so everything with 9.53 seconds is really pretty good. Does anyone else want to try it? Who want to beat 9.53 or make her feel better about herself at 9.53? Okay, then. Here's what I want to talk about this test in a moment, though. I will explain why it's so important and why it's so good, and why this test actually is the point behind teaching you what I want to teach you. As I'm going to do the test, I want you to think about strength versus skill. Every time I do something, watch me and think, okay, how strong does Steve need to be to do this? All right, and why is this? Because remember, this is not a strength test. This is a walking balance test. That's what it's designed to check. How likely are you to fall? Okay, well, so I'm sitting to standing. I'm starting to walk. I'm stopping my walking. I'm turning around, starting my walking, stopping my walking. I'm turning around, and I'm sitting back down. When it comes down to that whole test, standardized, classic physical therapy test, how much strength is that really checking? Anywhere across the board. Maybe a little bit with this. Absolutely, right? I got to get my butt out of the chair, right? After that, virtually nothing. It's all the skill of walking, everything through here. So part of this process is that classically overused phrase, reverse engineering. So if we reverse engineer the test, we've looked at this test. Okay, well, Joyce is here. She's not a fall risk. Betty is here at 25 seconds. She's a significant fall risk. What's the difference between Joyce and, the hypothetical Betty? Strength? I don't know, because this whole test tests skill. It tests your ability to do things. So let me walk that back with the skills that we have here. So I'm sitting, right? We talked about the sit to stand, some strength, but still a little bit of skill, weight shifting, getting up. But I have to start moving. I have to create momentum to go forward. Stand on one leg, move forward. How big steps are makes a difference. Joyce's steps were just fine if you watched her feet. There was no shuffling. It was up and across. Skill of that. Now I've got the skill of stopping my walking, momentum. Controlling momentum is huge, which I learned the hard way. I'll explain that in just a moment. Stopping, starting to turn, rotating on my feet, the skill of moving in this direction and stopping again, the skill of starting to go forward, stepping over, the skill of stopping, skill of turning, and then plopping down into the chair, which we all start plopping when we're 30 years old. Right? So when I'm looking at a test as a physical therapist and I'm saying, okay, how likely is this person to fall? The test is all skill. The test isn't strength. Now, granted, if you're so weak you can't get out of a chair, that's going to be an issue. And granted, right, if you don't pop up, you lose some time here. I agree with that. But after that, everything else is controlling your body on your feet. Skill of doing that activity. So just think about that concept in a moment of how that relates to our life. There was a subject that came up earlier about, and my mind went to a different direction, different words, but really only losing your balance when there's a change in your environment. And that also goes back to skill too. I promise you the vast, vast, vast majority of people who have fallen in my career, my world, it's been for the unforeseen things. It's been the cat that decides he must plop right in front of your foot and the reaction time can't happen. Or it's a dog that pushes on your hip. Or even most recently, the most recent haphazard fall that came across my clinic was a lady was taking her trash bag out to the garbage can. Not that big of a big deal. She could predict that. But as she lifted up the lid, the wind caught, right? We've all been there for that. That changed her momentum a little bit, and she couldn't react. Is that a strength thing? or is that the skill of reacting to the change in environment? I'm going to argue it's the skill. It's the skill of not being able to control your inertia this way and then moving your feet quickly to move your center of gravity. So where I want to go with the whole concept is I'd like to show you some simple exercises for the skill side of things and then talk about that. But right now, I just want to go through who is actually doing exercises on a daily basis right now. One, guys, you're doing some too? Now, I got the impression you had a fall recently. How recently was that?
Oh, a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
Just out here?
The snow, yeah.
Like here?
Right here.
Bummer. Okay. Slippery surface?
Pardon?
Was it just a slippery surface? And then your feet slid out from beneath you?
That was it.
Yeah. Forward.
Went into ice.
Okay.
Well, I hit the back of my car. I went down.
Okay. You just,
Had some bruises.
feet slid and nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
I mean, quite frankly, that same thing has happened to us at every age, right? Who hasn't? Every decade we slipped on ice. So that, honestly, you could have had the same fall when you're 23, right?
Probably so.
On ice, yeah.
Fearlessness.
Yeah. Okay. Any other recent falls on this side I forgot? No? Exercises. So what kind are you doing right now?
We walk,
Walking's great. What else?
that's it.
Okay.
Naps in the afternoon.
Okay. That counts as recovery, not exercise. So, important, integral part for sure.
But it's really important, right?
I know. Yeah. So just walking.
We walk. Yeah.
Okay. And I want you to continue doing that. Not the topic for today, but applies to different people. 45 minutes is what we consider to be sort of the new scientific norm for ability to be able to walk
Did 2
normally.
miles this morning.
Okay. And that's great. Keep it up. Nothing else than that. That's just it, walking, which is good. No? Okay. Anything, sir?
What about having planning?
Planning or
Getting to an
planting?
unusual situation or a different situation. Maybe things slant a little bit, one side or the other.
Yeah,
You got to make preparations too.
absolutely.
If there's something to hold on to, I use it.
Yep, that's called common sense. Yep, I agree completely. Again, there's no reason why you should not look at a surface and see it's slopey and change your body mechanics, or see that it's gravel and change how you walk. I mean, every age we should be doing that. Whether you're 75 or 25, if the tile is wet in the bathroom, you should know that you should change the way you walk or step on the mat,
Shower.
right? Yeah, those are the things that, whenever you look at fall things, that's always on the top of the list, right? Avoid the problems. Yeah, that is so redundant and so basic, I don't talk about much because everyone knows that, but absolutely true. What's on your exercise routine these days?
Yeah.
Okay. Recovery. Good. That falls in the recovery category.
At least we're honest.
Fair enough.
I do go.
But as you fall, but I was honest. Okay.
I always think that the worst time in the fall is the point at which you decide that you are falling
Oh, crap, I can't do nothing about it.
Yeah.
until
Ah.
you hit the ground.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure. Honestly, my most recent fall was stupidity. This was a while ago. I've not fallen for a while, but I decided I could see if I could stand on like a basketball and balance. I couldn't, in case you were wondering. I hit the deck of my living room floor. But, yeah. So nothing really. Okay.
But twisting your body around, like I had a recent fall going into my motorhome, and I reached up to grab the hand hold, to do
Yeah.
it. Well, my body shifted, so I twisted
All right.
my body a little bit. I ended up on a concrete floor right
Okay.
here. And I got the scars to show it.
Okay.
But
Don't doubt that.
I didn't plan well. I didn't plan that, because you gotta do about 4 steps.
You know what? I won't disagree. So that could be take-home message number one. You got to plan well. I completely agree. Whether you're you or, again, me, I should have planned. I couldn't stand on that ball. I should have planned better. But there are the times when you can't plan. Or I guess, she could have known, it's windy outside. Maybe I should, not pick up the sled until the wind gust has died down. Maybe you can look at that retrospectively, but that doesn't really happen to all of us all the time. Sometimes those things just happen. So I am convinced that those unforeseen situations when the planning doesn't go as well as we'd like, or we forget to plan, or we get hurried, because we're human. We have all found ways to cut corners, speed up the process, and sometimes we get by with it, and sometimes we don't. So I'm convinced that we need to prepare to survive, metaphorically, the times when we don't prepare as well, or we just couldn't react. And my goal today is to teach you 2 or 3 things that I think are the most crucial for that time set, which is going to skill. And it also comes down to momentum. So I want to go over my test again as I'm going into a couple different exercises I want you to teach you guys. Now, so as we start here again, the test, I am changing momentum and position by going sit to standing. I'm changing momentum by pushing my body forward, stepping on the leg. I'm creating momentum. I'm stopping it. I'm turning it this direction by my feet, starting it again under control. And the faster I can do that, the better my time's going to be, because that's how we're determining the fall risk, is how good our time is. I'm getting to the end. I'm stopping my momentum, turning around, creating again this way, and back down. But every single time there's a transition point, 2 basic factors have to occur. I can control the momentum on a starting and stopping motion, and I can move my feet to control that momentum. So when this really hit me was watching my stepfather fall one time. And we just got off the boat at his place. Nothing I could do about it. I really should have been with him. I struggle sometimes with, and maybe you're in the same boat to some degree, is hovering too much versus letting them have their freedom and not treating them like, it's a struggle. What is that balance between, Bob, I know you got this, versus, come on, Bob, let me hold your hand. I mean, the dude's a full bird colonel in the Air Force, right? Flew B-47s in Nam. He's not like he's a man who's used to having his hand coddled, but then again, he fell. So what I observed with him is he had enough strength to get up and walk. From the dock to the house was a slight incline, not bad, but slight incline. There was a step there. And he stopped by the step, and he got his foot up, and he got on the step. He had the strength for that, but he couldn't maintain the momentum to get the rest of his body up. And since it was a slight slope, he couldn't get over his foot, and then he had to put a foot back. Then, of course, the slope was backward towards the lake, and then honestly, he came out with a bruised shoulder. It's really a miracle he didn't come out with a broken skull. He landed in rocks, large rocks by the side of the shore, and I was there.
How old?
That time, 85.
How much?
85. Yeah. So he's 87 now, and actually just got home from the hospital for another reason yesterday. A little pneumonia, aspiration, and those things happen. But so that was 2 years ago, that fall, and it just got me to, I was already on the process of thinking about things different, but it got me to think about the controlling of momentum and how it's a skill, and how our ability to train for that can help us when the unforeseen things come up, like the garbage can lid flying over, changing her momentum quickly without her wanting it, and then the reaction of the feet, which she couldn't do. So then, I'm going to tie this into what I'd like you guys to start doing. Now, some of you this may be too easy for, and then that's a good thing, but then again, it's always in the back, it can be in the back of your mind as far as what things you need to keep going, what things you need to improve in other ways. So let me give you my basic exercise. Because for all of you who are having any issues, if you are under 20 seconds that sit to stand, or that tug test, try it at home. If you're under 20, this is my first level exercise. And it's simply stepping forward and stepping backwards. It seems so remedial, I get that. I know for some. Might be beneath you. But then again, there's a level of getting beyond your foot, getting behind your foot. And then there's speed. Can the person go forward and backward quickly? Can they go forward and backward slowly? I had a lady recently who has some trouble walking, and her biggest problem was controlling momentum. And one of the things I worked with her was controlling the speed of her walking and her steps. So you may be able to just stand, yeah, okay, this is fine. I can do this. But can you do this? Can you bear weight on the hip and go backwards? Can you do it fast and stop and push yourself back and stop? All things that if the lady was grabbing the garbage can and the wind took her back, she could have done this to prevent the fall. It's those unforeseen things that make us fall that we can only prevent or react to if we have some training. Just like going back to the old sports days, the coach made us do things in practice so that when the game happened, we'd seen it before and we knew what to happen. When the inbound pass was this way, this is the setup, we knew what to do. It's a similar thing. Right? So if you are functioning at a higher level, walking 2 miles, great. At your own, practice this just a little bit and see what you can do. If you can still go like this and like that without difficulty, great, you got that skill. Great. Then keep that in your back pocket and then know that that may be a problem in the future. If your skill is high, that's when you get stronger. So forward and backward, honestly, one of my favorites all the time. Make sure you can do it and then practice it. Because I'm sure probably would work in your realm. You can make it as easy. Back up. You can make it as hard as you need it to be. Super slow. That's a lot of control, making yourself balance. And what you told me about some other things that may be harder on one leg than the other, I'm aware of that. And it's a challenge, but it still is what it is. Okay. So that's number one. The other thing, if you remember the sit to stand test, was stopping momentum and then turning. This is a motion and the ability to move our feet that we neglect a lot. A lot of my falls over the course of my career have been when people have kept their feet planted and they've gotten out of their center of gravity. And that's when a lot of people really go down. And we get lazy with our feet. But this is a way to retrain ourselves to move our feet. So in the test, right, we stop, we turn 180, and then we start over again. Be surprised how difficult it is for quite a few people to actually do 1, 2, to make that 180-degree turn in 2 steps. That should be your normal. That should be your baseline. You should be able to do this. I mean, when everything's working right, we can just do it in 1. When we're all younger, moving better, let's go, right? But that's a different level of skill to control the momentum. So this is your next one at home, practice. 90 degrees turn, 90 degrees turn. If it's easy for you, great, it's easy for you. Good, you got that in your back pocket, don't worry about it. But it's essential. To get this down here, control your center of gravity, move your feet, pick them up and put them down where you want, pick them up and put them down where you want, right? Just like this, and then of course go the other direction as well. So I'm rotating at the hip, and I'm changing my center of gravity. And there's 2 other lectures I could go down just by that, but I won't bore you with the science, nerdy biomechanics stuff. So, any questions on those 2? Okay. Easy enough, and 2 of my fundamental ones. And then this is tying back into Walk Better in 30 Days. So for again, every one of you is on a little bit different journey, but I'd like you to practice those 2 at home. Just see where you are. You know, if you're walking really well, you can. Me rewinding it. Sometimes I have a tendency my mouth gets a little further ahead than my brain, or my brain gets ahead and realizes I should have said something else. What I'd like you to do today is when you go home, set this test up. Set a chair up in your house. I recommend 10 feet away from the edge, 10 feet away from the refrigerator, 10 feet away from the window, so you don't have to mark it off. You can just see, I'll stop at the chair and do it. Right? Walk forward, stop at 10 feet, turn around, time yourself and see where you are. Right? If you're 10 to 12 seconds, Joyce, you're doing great, good for you. If you're slower than that, then there's a reason why. The reason why could be skill. Could be your ability to step forward and control that momentum. It could be your ability to turn on the dime and start your momentum again. And that's what I'd really like you to focus on. Get those skills in place, and you can take it from there.
Will they improve?
They will improve. Get those skills down. Reverse engineer the test. Fix the skills that make the test bad. And once your walking is better by this, then add more strength to it, add more capacity. That's really when strength training is best, is when you already have some skill down. You know, you don't work on running 10 miles before that first mile you can even run well at all. Work on some skills and add ability on top of that. 2 key skills I'd like you to work on. Test it, and then practice those. Step forward and step back. Work on the control, work on speed, work on pace, work on moving your center of gravity forward, work on moving your center of gravity back. Most people tend to want to just put a toe in front and put a toe behind. It's not good enough. You've got to put your weight forward on the toe, control your gravity, your center of gravity, control your body, and then push yourself back, control it. That's the skill side of things. Things that you learned when you were a little toddler, we all did, right? We're all plopping all over the floor. We learned the ability to keep this thing upright. As our life changes, for whatever reason, a knee replacement, a broken bone, a stroke, whatever, we all got stuff that we learned the ability to control our center of gravity, our body, and step forward. Or we stopped trusting it. You know, whatever happened, we had a fall on the ice, and all right, I gotta be really cautious now. We tighten up. Humans, when we get a little fearful, we tighten up. Whether it's walking or it's a unpleasant conversation with someone, wherever, we tend to tighten up. It's the same thing. Practice opening up. Get a bigger step in under controlled environments, and when you need something, when you need to have it in an unexpected environment, there's a better chance it'll be there for you. Both forward and backward, and turning so you move your feet. That's my big take-home message. Okay. And that timing's just about right, actually. Questions? Keep it going, please. Any questions? Okay. For those of you who are walking at advanced level, skills, do not neglect weight training. Bone density and muscle mass can only be maintained by weightlifting. It just is. It just is. Now, keeping active in every other thing in life, I want you to. If it's gardening, by all means, stay as active as you want. Hiking in the woods, please, keep doing that. Dancing, Keep doing that. Whatever your love is, keep doing that. But I promise you, science says that nothing but strength training will keep bone density, and nothing but strength training will keep your muscle mass. We all are losing bones every year. We all are losing muscles every year. Harder to get back with each successive year of life. Maintaining it. The only way is some form of resistance training. Bands, weights, however you fit that in your life. Huh? Yeah, weights.
Yeah, that's what I use.
Keep getting heavier. There's actually a growing trend in my profession that we are whipping ourselves with wet noodles because we have not been pushing the senior population enough. There is this growing trend that the expectations have just been too low, which is like chair exercises with the same 5-pound dumbbell you've used for the past 5 years. Science has shown that our muscles can get stronger at any age. Now we have issues. Our knees may not get better at any age. We may have other problems to overcome, which is true, but our muscles can change and can get stronger at any age. So that's the big thing. Work on the skill, and then obviously I'm a huge advocate of weight training to work on capacity.
And a willpower.
We'll,
You gotta have that.
well, yeah, I don't deny that. That's what's going to make you work out, period. Yeah, it just comes down to desiring to do it. Any other last questions? Specifically about y'all? Okay. Anything I'm hoping the information was beneficial. I'm hoping I met your expectations.
What I do also.
Yes, sir.
I step out my recliner. I stand for just a second to get my
All right.
thing into your ear called
Of course.
the semicircular canal. And that's what controls your balance. And so if you orient yourself to the vertical position from a sitting position even, which is half laying, can be.
No, I don't deny that. There's a lot of things that affect that, whether your semicircular canal is correct,
Right.
your blood pressure as the blood gets to the brain versus not to the brain. Yep, obviously a factor as well. Don't deny that.
Can you walk for him and see what he
I
recommends?
was going to do that.
You want to do the test? All right.
Show how bad I am.
Well, just so he can suggest things.
Right.
And approve that.
First part's going to be the hardest for me.
Okay.
Getting up out of this chair.
It will be. Now, officially, you're not supposed to use your hands on your knees to get up.
Yeah.
We'll let that slide this time.
If I didn't have arms, I wouldn't be able to get up out of the chair.
Yeah. And one side note, really, one of the best strengthening exercises is simply this, the sit to stand. There's another test, which is the sit to stand test. Just so you know, normal is 15 within 30 seconds. That's 1 every 2 seconds. So if you want to test yourself, you want to get your skill up and down,
That's hard.
yeah, I understand.
So practicing would improve that.
Right. Yeah, directly, again, reverse engineering the test. And so much so that we've actually created a separate test just to test that. Okay.
Okay.
All right, so 3, 2, 1. There you go, start early, cheater.
He never walks that fast.
Yeah, right. All right. Now,
What was that, 20?
no, it was actually 13.
Oh,
But you start early, so I'm docking a second for that.
okay.
And there were quite a few corners cut.
Yeah.
So you didn't.
I didn't.
I know that. Did you notice he started turning before he stopped, trying to speed things up? You got away with that. And then the same thing over here. You start turning and pushing that butt down like this before you, and you got away with that too, in the controlled environment. But
Add 2 more seconds.
sure. That's actually a great example. But I'll get back to the moment. But actually, stride length was really pretty good. From here to here, the length was pretty good. I'd like you to try in just a moment, though, and actually do the complete stop, turn, forward to the chair, do the complete stop. But wait, I got to reset. Hey, hang on.
You gotta wait.
Yeah, I got. All right, I'm gonna count down 3, 2, 1. When I say 1, then your butt starts moving. 3, 2, 1. Okay.
Sure.
I did it too fast. Okay, start again.
Okay. All right, 3, 2, 1.
I'll spin.
Yeah.
Are you dizzy?
Well, I could be if I turned another 90 degrees, probably.
All right. That was 16 and a half. It's interesting. You turned the other direction this time to sit down. Most people are creatures of habit. We almost always turn the same way. Maybe it was because I was closer to you and you're trying to avoid turning into me. But
That's what it was.
could be.
It's all your fault.
So
And I'm a pro at falling.
You are.
I have fallen a lot of times.
what's the number one reason you fall?
Balance.
Well, okay. Yeah, but going back to what we talked about, you know,
Skin tears.
yeah. To me, balance isn't a good enough answer.
Yeah.
There's always a reason that the balance failed you. Whether it's ice, whether it's a lid falling up, falling you on, or falling, pulling you on your center of gravity, or a slippery floor or extension cord. There's always a reason that the balance failed you. What's the number one reason for you?
Well, see, one of my last falls was right by my front door.
Okay.
And I don't know what the reason was.
All right.
All of a sudden, it was more of a dizziness type feeling. Once that occurs, you don't know
All right.
for sure what you're going to do
Fair enough.
if you don't have something to hold on to.
And no, that's a really good thing because there are other things. You mentioned semicircular canals. Yes, there are plenty of other things that are outside your control, right? Arthritic knee pops on you. What you going to do, right? Your balance here, your blood pressure drops a little bit, your blood sugars go off a little bit. Yeah, there's plenty of things that are non-necessarily musculoskeletal that make a difference to your
But
falling,
just
without doubt.
Your sight.
Yeah?
I have to keep myself oriented to my surroundings, If you can find things to see that are horizontal,
Mhm.
there's something about your eyes and your balance
Okay.
that go together.
Absolutely true. Eyes in your ears and, okay. Well, I know, you're 16 seconds, better than expected, right? If I did this again, is there a different course path you'd like me to take? Different topic? Because I kept on one topic this time, which was the skill. I tried to teach that. Different category? Okay.
The
Well,
strength training, I was.
all right. I mean, we went over this time, so it's the problem of too much topics. You can't. Gotta keep it condensed. Doing it. Yeah, I know you guys want to go eat, so
Thank you.
you're welcome. Nice to meet you all. I appreciate your patience.
Well, we appreciate you coming here.
Thanks.
Certain times of
So,
day, too,
yeah.
can be a factor.
Absolutely. Oh, I'm agreeing with everything you say. Falling is not one factor. It really isn't. However, I am still convinced that of the things you can control physically by exercise, I mean, I'm not talking your blood pressure's whack. That's the conversation for your MD, or your blood sugar's whack. That's not something that you can control by exercise. Of the things that you can physically body control, improving your skill and your ability to move your feet quickly or slowly by your control is the single most beneficial thing you can make sure it's there.
Move slowly.
No, not what I said.
My question.
Yes.
Is it better, he normally walks, really.
Yeah, that was not his
Very
normal
slow.
walking was.
He
That,
doesn't normally
No, I
walk
didn't think
that
so.
big of a stride.
Right.
Is it better to walk with a bigger stride or what you're comfortable with?
The answer is comfortable with, but what you're comfortable with should be as close to what you were when you were younger, which is, normally it's about a couple inches in front of the other foot. This is our normal walking. We fall, we catch ourselves. This is a protective mechanism and bad. This is overcompensating. You're asking for trouble. All right?
Thank you.
You're welcome. That's good.